So with that, I'm doing my usual filibustering a little bit in case people are slowly um, getting on here. But now that we've reached 7 minutes after the hour, I think we can go ahead and get rolling with the program. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite Brandon Fenton from the Kansas Association of Realtors to kick us off and share about their cool Key Contact program. Brandon, the floor is yours.
Hey, Justin, thank you so much. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my slides here just before we really get started, and I'm going to switch that up like we said. Okay. So now everybody, you should be able to see my full screen slides here. But again, like Justin said, I'm here to kind of give you a little bit of a dive into how we have done our grassroots advocacy here in Kansas, right? How we've integrated specifically the key contact score and how we've integrated the actual what I call repository for our state political coordinators. That's what we call our key contacts here in Kansas. How we give them information and resources, uploading their handbooks and field guides, taking in their field reports, things like that. So again, we're going to do a brief introduction here and then talk about the key contact score and then the kind of the two big success areas that we've had with the actual website, the platform for our SPCs, as far as recruitment and deployment success. So again, like I said earlier, my name is Brandon Fenton. I'm with the Kansas Association of Realtors. I do a lot of things here at KAR, but the thing I'm going to be talking with you about today specifically is the State Political Coordinator Program, our grassroots advocacy component of our governmental affairs team. So the key contact score is really, it's kind of a good way to really get started with your recruitment efforts as you try to track down who might be a good fit for these different grassroots volunteer positions. And we have kind of a three-prong recruitment effort here in Kansas. There's member-to-member recruitment. There's staff such as myself or our vice president of governmental affairs, anybody else on staff doing recruitment. And then there's also local association staff and leadership making recommendations and doing recruitment themselves. Essentially, some of these districts are very large, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have those too, where, you might have a lot of members and you need to, shrink those universes down a little bit and be efficient with your time. Or you might have large swaths of area in some jurisdictions where there are a few members and you might be at a bit of a loss where to start. Either way, this key contact score from the file transfer on the Real Strategies dashboard has helped us bring some efficiency to our recruitment processes, either with those areas with a large amount of members, kind of whittling down who might be a good fit to be in these grassroots positions. Or on the other end, if there's relatively few members in certain areas, it's been really helpful kind of giving me a good springboard, a good place to start with, to start making calls or start getting members to make calls. And it's been really successful so far. I'm a very visual person. So this is what our current house coverage looks like over 2 years. If you see an area that's shaded in green, that is an area where we have coverage by our state political coordinator program. I'm pleased to report that after 2 years, utilizing this key contact score, utilizing this platform set up by Real Strategies, that we've been able to achieve not only just specific committee coverage at a certain level, but over 50% coverage of the entire state legislature. And if you look at this screen, I'm way up here in Topeka. If you look all the way to the left-hand side of this picture, Garden and Dodge City are about 5 hours away from us. So there's a very large swaths of space where we have a lot of spread out members. That far northwest district at Colby and Goodland, we have less than 20 members in that entire district. But utilizing this key contact score in the platform, we were able to kind of whittle down some names, people who might be a good fit. We were able to get some of that information into other, local leadership's hands to ask them, hey, would this person be a good fit? Do you think this person would be well suited for the program? And we've been able to use the key contact score again to great success. And this is the Senate side, just to show you the other side. Again, with over half coverage now, we essentially have almost all of Kansas covered as far as the state Senate is concerned. So again, those initial conclusions from our key contact score is that it gives us a good jumping pad to get grassroots volunteer recruitment kickstarted. When I first got here, I didn't have any baseline for recruitment efforts. I didn't have any information whatsoever. So the key contact scores were really helpful. Again, bringing some efficiency to my timelines, trying to again shrink some of those larger areas, make that a little bit easier, and focus my efforts in smaller areas where we have less of a membership presence. And this is just to speak to the success of the platform itself and utilizing the information that our members have brought to us who are grassroots volunteers. This was the 2023 legislative session was the first session that our SPCs were really involved in. And all of these successes were something that they were a part of, whether there was a full chamber activation, whether there was a committee activation, tens of millions for different housing programs, expanding our housing incentive districts across our state, tax credits, you name it, they were involved in it. And the same thing in 2024 as well. We got even bigger wins this year as the program grew to, again, about a little over half coverage of the entire state legislature. We were able to get significant property tax relief, cease and desist authority for our real estate commission, and so many other things that were important to our membership, all because of the recruitment efforts and tools put in our hand by Real Strategies, and then being able to implement those and deploy our members to great success. And this is just kind of the last slide to give you some perspective on how it's been received by the legislature and our grassroots volunteers. I'm not going to get into the numbers and metrics. We have a lot of field reports. I have a lot of feedback from members of our state legislature, but nobody on any side of this, whether they were a senator or a representative or one of our SPCs, has said that this is a bad program or that these are bad tools. All the feedback has been positive. There have been no mismatched members. Nobody's been in the wrong place at the wrong time. No incidents. Only good things that we've been hearing. And our grassroots volunteers really do enjoy interacting with our Real Strategies platform and tools. And obviously, Philip here is going to give you the rundown on the upgraded version in a second. But after presenting this to them, that they're even more pleased with the second version. It's a lot more user-friendly, a lot more aesthetically pleasing, and a lot more simple in the way that it intakes field reports. So that is all that I have today to present on our grassroots advocacy. And again, like Justin said, there's a Q&A, so I'm happy to take those at the appropriate time. But Philip, whenever you are ready, sir, you can go ahead and give your part of the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Appreciate, obviously everything you've done and working with us on this platform, as well as, recruiting membership to file those field reports and interact with legislators. As Justin mentioned, my name is Philip Creglow with Real Strategies. I'm the director for our data and tech team. And so these are the types of tools that we work on and, have a lot of interaction with clients to help develop and fit their needs. And as Brandon mentioned, the infancy of their program almost 2 years ago was really about how do we get our members to file field reports after they interact with legislators? How do we get them key information, whether it's talking points, other legislator specific information, even some training opportunities. They developed a field guide. How do we make that available to them in sort of a one stop location throughout a legislative session? And so the first iteration of this tool was really just about find your legislator, establish an account, file a field report. And as we started to talk with Brandon and think of what does a new iteration of this look like, I think probably the biggest thing in our mind and some of the feedback was, how do you remove the barriers to entry as far as somebody being able to log in, very quickly access the information they need, or the legislator that they're connected with, file a field report and be done. And so this was the initial platform that we came up with. Now, the basis of the system is entirely connected to legislators. And then from there, you can assign your members to legislators. So it's very possible, and Brandon has certainly had examples of this where members might have filed field reports for several members of the state legislature or state senate. But in our case, we wanted to have some flexibility and functionality, so the client could decide, hey, we only want one member per legislator, or you could have a case like this where you've got a full list of the entire state house or the entire state senate, and they could pick and choose and file field reports for as many folks as they've had interactions with. Pretty basic setup in terms of standard information about each legislator. We've got the ability to add some custom fields here. So in the case of the vote history is something that we can help build into this platform. There's other custom tables and custom data that we've talked about, being able to add things like committee assignments. Maybe there's a need for staff notes that are sort of internal only. But you don't necessarily want to have shared across the other users in the platform, but sort of have on the record as you're going through and making decisions about who's been helpful, who has not been helpful on certain pieces of legislation. From a field report standpoint, the first iteration of this was basically just an open text box like this. And, that also kind of created a situation where if somebody's filing a field report, how much information do I need to share? Is it a sentence, multiple paragraphs? And so we still have that option, of course, but a new setup that we've implemented here is the ability to create, a template, if you will, of a field report that's more of a Q&A drop down, pre-selected answers, those types of things. So it just makes that, ability to file a field report that much faster, but probably even a little bit more informative, where you can sort of drive the member to specific issues, specific questions, and try to, get solid feedback that would be helpful for whatever legislative initiative you're supporting or opposing. So that's kind of the basic legislator card itself. We've got the ability to add in custom content. So from a legislative priority standpoint, you can go ahead and let me refresh this real quick. You can go ahead and add in talking points. You can add resources. Resources would be basically anything from what Brandon had shared with us was a field guide. So we can go ahead and, basically a simple WYSIWYG editor. You can go ahead and add, whatever background information on the resource that you're adding, PDF, Word doc. We can even embed YouTube videos in this section. Lots of ability to provide content for your members. And then lastly, on the workspace, this would be sort of like the default login for a member. And like we talked about before, sort of removing that barrier to entry. You can save legislators that you're assigned to and add them to your workspace. So every time that I would log in, if I was assigned to these two individuals, I would see them. Every time I log into the system, I don't have to go to a list or some search field to find who I'm looking for. All I'd have to do is click on field reports, click new field report, fill this out, hit save or submit, and then I'm done. And I'm able to send that information very quickly. Another kind of looking forward here to think about that we're going to be adding as we get into early 2025 is the ability to add, alerts. So if you've got, say, a call for action that's ongoing, you want to make that available to everybody in the system, to have a banner or another pop-up on this page. So something like that could be easily accessible. Specific legislator talking points that could be specific to only a single user. So in the case of, let's say you've got a member who's serving as the key contact for the Speaker of the House, and you have specific information that you only want to share with them and not make available to everyone on the platform, you have the ability to do that in this system. Another piece of functionality that we're going to be working on and implementing is to group users together. So whether that's by, say, a key committee in the State House, or maybe it's something that's member focused. Maybe you want all of your key contacts who are also serving as RPAC trustees to be in a group, and maybe you have specific information for them. Maybe you have key contacts who serve on board of directors or another committee from the association, to be able to group people together for specific purposes. And then lastly, a few of the other associations we've been working with on this have had an application process for their key contacts. And so we've worked with them to implement an application that they can host on their association website. And as that application is completed by their members, all of the data intake is then being reflected in the key contact tool platform. So they can use that as a resource to learn, who within their membership potentially has the ability to serve in this role, and collect that data in one single location. So I think that's primarily the first kind of version of this. We're really looking forward to some other, ideas and feedback that we've received from not only Brandon, but others that we've been working with, and really start to kind of roll this out and put it into the field for several clients in early 2025 as legislative sessions get underway and we have, new members of the state legislature coming into session.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil.